Yes, folks, it's Chris Webber and Anthony Claypool here. And during today's session, this is going to be a summary of DS Math, and another session called Questions and Answers related. But the difference here is we're going to talk about some just a couple of big topics that are really important to DS Math. You can see on the screen, I am at the Google, I've logged in, and I'm going to Sites again, as we always do to get into the DS Math for the Common Core website. I'm there. And what I want to take us to today is a document on the left-hand side called Summary of DS Math for CCSS, for the Common Core State Standards. And as you can see, there's just a bunch of different topics listed. And you know, to some extent, we've tried to organize these as must-dos and may-dos. Sometimes that doesn't work, but we've tried to kind of address some topics that we know are on your mind. They're on our mind. The first is assessment. So you guys, you're going to notice that there's no multiple choice assessments going on here. That doesn't mean the multiple choice assessments are bad. I mean, they're good, right? They have a place. But the common formative assessments, or CFAs, that we've written, they're open-ended. They're short, too. There's like 5 to, I think, 8 questions might be the longest one. They also are going to require kids to think, to show, to write, to draw diagrams. And so that's kind of the idea with the assessments. The must-do, y'all, is that we want you to give that CFA at the end of the block. You can give a CFA, as you're going to see under the may-dos, at the very beginning of the block to pre-assess. You can give it midway through to kind of see where kids are right now. But those are may-dos. The must-do is at the end of the block, please give the same CFA, or excuse me, the CFA that's listed in the math map on the website that you can link. And we're all going to be doing that across all 4 buildings. We want to be able to collectively analyze those, look at what we're doing awesomely well, and look where we can get a little bit better. So that's a must-do. The other must-do is we'd love you to use our rubric or scoring guide. So that's also available on the website, and we'll do another sort of video just about that. But that's a must-do. We want you to use the 0, 1, or 2 point scoring for 3 different areas. Understanding the problem, solving the problem, and answering the problem. And when you have open-ended scoring, you have to have a rubric. So this is a very simple rubric that the summer math crew decided on. So those are must-dos as it relates to assessment. May-dos as it relates to assessment. Let's scroll down. As I said, you can give the CFA at the beginning of the block. Now, we believe that you can give the same CFA at the very beginning of the block that you're going to give at the end of the block. Same numbers, same problems, same everything. Because we should not invalidate the end of the block CFA by using the same one at the beginning of the block. So no worries there. Now, why would you give it at the beginning of the block? Well, you might want to see what kids know and what they don't know. Certain students who are going to be ready to move on a little bit faster, and certain students who you can already kind of predict are going to need a little bit more support. Another thing that the summer math crew thought might be a good idea is to give it midway through the block. On the left-hand sidebar, there's a sample second grade pacing guide for block 1, and you're going to see that they gave a CFA in the last week of the block, but before the end of the block itself, so that they could kind of have a couple of days built in to do some reteaching. Now, if you're going to use the CFA, quote-unquote, CFA midway through the block, you probably don't want to, please don't use the same one you're going to use at the end of the block, because that's too close, and you probably would invalidate the end of the block CFA. So change the numbers. Only assess part of it, but please don't use the precisely same CFA. One of the reasons we're using CFAs at the end of the block is not just to determine kind of how our kids did and what we might need to touch on in subsequent blocks, revisit if you will, but also to identify kids who would benefit from after-unit intervention. So this is, in math, a wonderful way of organizing our RTI, or interventions, is to just target those skills with which students need more support. And we can use our CFAs to make those determinations. Basically what I'm saying is, while the whole class will move on to the next block, including students who didn't do as well as we want them to have done, students who need extra support will receive it while they're receiving the new instruction. Okay, other ways of assessing. You might do a Friday quiz or other informal assessments that you make up on your own, you guys. You might use those just to determine how kids are progressing. In other words, not for grades. You might use them for grades. The other way that we really want you to informally assess is through exit slips that occur every day. Similar, another informal assessment is that whiteboard check that occurs midway through the lesson. And this is valid evidence, you guys, for us. Another thing we're excited about, because we have licenses to IXL, is that you can use IXL to assess kiddos. Absolutely, because each of them potentially will have their own their own account. And so you can assign them certain types of problems, but as importantly, you can go back in and look at how a kiddo did later, well after they've solved the problems. You can go back and look at how they did, how they performed in relation to a certain number of standards. This would be a great way of checking on kids who are at risk to see if they're responding to our instruction and intervention, because you can have them work on the computer and do this type of progress monitoring. So we're excited about IXL. So that's assessment. Let's keep scrolling down. MathFacts. Well, we are so excited about MathFacts because we've purchased a MathFacts program called Rocket Math. There were lots of good ones out there, and we appreciated your suggestions. Rocket Math has the benefit of being pretty inexpensive and pretty comprehensive. We have some high goals, y'all, for MathFacts, and this document kind of describes them. We really want our kinder kids to have sums to 10. We want our first graders to have all of their addition facts, second graders all of their subtraction facts, and third graders all multiplication and division. And we really mean this, like every single kiddo. Now, our 4th through 8th graders are going to need support, probably for the time being, yes. But we want to get to the point where there is not a single 3rd grader who goes to 4th grade without all of their facts in place. The other thing we really want to emphasize and suggest is that let's go ahead, right when we're teaching addition facts, let's teach multi-digit column addition. My experience, and I have a lot of good experience with MathFacts, is kids can do that, even with regrouping. So that's something else that we're going to really encourage. As you can see as we scroll down, we've listed pretty explicitly what math and facts instruction could look like in a 10 to 20 minute block in addition to your math block. Okay, and you can see I'm kind of describing it as a mini gradual release for responsibility lesson. So just some important things to keep in mind. Just a couple of facts a day is fine. You might not even do it every day, but a couple of facts each time you do it. So the example I give for addition, for example, is 4 plus 3 and 3 plus 4, 5 plus 3 and 3 plus 5. Now you might be wondering, isn't that 4 facts? No, because we really want to emphasize the commutative property. So 3 plus 4 is 4 plus 3. In fact, I'm going to really encourage us, and I'm going to model myself, that whenever I'm solving a problem that requires addition or multiplication, I'm going to, if it's a column addition, for example, where 4 plus 3 is called for, I'm going to say 4 plus 3, 3 plus 4 is 7. When we call on kids for their math facts, I want them to be so practiced with the commutative property, whereas if I ask them 3 plus 4, they respond with the commutative property 4 plus 3. So there's some notes on what we might expect of our kids and how you might implement a mini gradual release of responsibility model in doing it. And I would love to come in and show you how this could look in your classroom. So that's always the case. So math facts instruction is going to be super critical. Now, K3 I think is pretty simple. What will be on a case-by-case, class-by-class, maybe even a kid-by-kid basis is what we do in 4th through 8th grade. Here's what I mean. There might be a 4th grade class that just needs all their multiplication and division facts practice. All right then, fantastic. Whereas in a 7th grade, we might determine that it's a subset of the class or of the entire grade level, and we'll be working on a site-by-site, grade-by-grade, even kid-by-kid basis to ensure that kids have this. If our students don't have computational fluency, that is proficiency with all of their math facts, life's going to be tough in mathematics for them. So that's the reason why we're making this real solid commitment. Let's scroll down to the next topic, and this will be our last topic in this part 1 of our summary of DS Math, and that's Teacher Studio. Teacher Studio, you guys, is just basically an online repository for awesomeness. So Teacher Studio it's a company, it's a website, and what it's going to allow us to do is share, and a lot of other things, but at the most basic level, it's going to be able to allow us to post our great math ideas, your great math ideas. It could be a PowerPoint, it could be an activity, it could be a worksheet, it could be a video, it could be anything. And the reason why it's going to be great is it's simple to upload, and when you upload it, you're going to specify, of course, that it's math, the grade level, the standard, what type of activity it is. So it's going to be super easy for you to upload it. And then the second major benefit is going to be super easy for people to go in and to search. So not only do we want everybody posting and sharing, but we want everybody accessing it. So you can go in and access great ideas from other campuses, from other grade levels, and you'll be able to search by the standard, by the grade level. We also have some ideas of using this in a more advanced way, like you can give a thumbs up to lessons that you like, and that'll be really, really neat. You can also, there's a space on Teacher Studio for you to comment. So the person who posts the activity or resource can post a little bit more about what it could be used for. People that have utilized it can post about what they've utilized it for and the good and perhaps other things to consider that might not be as transparent initially anyway, lessons you may have learned. So Teacher Studio is really going to be nice, and we're going to really explore its functionality because professional learning communities, that has to be the way we do business. We can't do this alone. We have to do it collectively, and this is going to help us do that. All right, y'all. So that's the end of part 1, and we're going to come back for part 2 of Summary of DS Math in just a moment.